Hey guys, I'm Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge. I've been in tour guiding for 10 years. Now I'm relocating people to Belarus. In whichever context you'll find yourself traveling here, booking accommodations, something more reasonable and cheaper than a hotel, may become a little bit of a challenge to start with. Let's see how this may be done and what kind of tips you may use before doing your homework. If this or another video was helpful in your preparation to the trip in Belarus, or if you just want to support me, you can push the thanks button and leave $5 or $10, nothing significant or big, to create better videos, to improve the sound and the picture, and I would like to thank you very much in advance for that. Since you are about to travel to Belarus, I imagine you're traveling a lot, so since you are kind of experienced, I'd assume that you know it all depends on where the place is, what kind of holidays are in town. So depending on the season, depending on how central it is, you may find cheaper or more expensive bargains here in Minsk coming from all kinds of operators. One of the most important factors on top of the geography and the renovation status is the duration. Of course, there are per night rentals and major operators, two major operators pulled out of this pool, let's say, but there are many other operators, even global ones like hotels.com. The long-term stays are different in their type of business and their approach to business, and you may find all sorts of issues in both segments. But what you have to keep in mind, if you're coming for a short period of time, which we may assume is your visa, which is normally up to 30 days long, that would be a short-term visit, and that would be like $30 per night, give or take, depending on the city, Minsk or not, depending on the area. As almost always and always everywhere, center doesn't mean a super good bargain. Right now I'm in eastern Minsk, where there are some new blocks, nice, also for tourist stays. So this is something you may consider versus the city center, although pricing will not be necessarily much lower. So you may want to come over here, stay at a central and, let's say, official hotel for a couple of nights to sort things out, and then find your bargain here locally, seeing the options yourself, placing deposit yourself, and shaking hands on the deal yourself. That's the best way to go. So if you do want to book in advance, you might go with one of the global operators that you still find dealing here in Belarus, or you can just open up Google Maps or Yandex Maps, which is more recommended when you are dealing with Belarusian geography, or Russian for that matter. Scroll the maps, putting in apartments for rent and the Russian equivalent of that, play with that, see the ratings and contact the operators directly to make a booking. Normally with short-term rentals there is no such a thing as a written contract. Anyway, it will most likely be in Russian with most operators, so the history of messaging and the rating and the common sense will be your guide towards a good, adequate bargain. To secure your, let's say, position, you may want to ask them if they process registration, and that's a vital thing. Whether it's a small company or an individual operating a bunch of flats or just one flat, there may be different wrinkles about the operation ways. There are formally no formal contracts, which will be in Russian anyways, so you may or may not get a paper signed. Apart from confirmation of the payment in the messaging, you won't have much to go on with, just the rating on the map and the common sense and the feeling of how adequate the person is that you're dealing with. And on both ways it sometimes may fail, of course. One of the best ways to secure your position in many senses is to ask if the owners processed a registration, which you will find about in my travel tips video, and if that happens, verify that the address you were registered at is your real address, because that may avoid you some problems. Otherwise, this points in most cases that the business is legit, because registration gets them deal with the migration office, and that often links them to the tax office. And the landlords don't generally like the tax office, not the illegal guys. However, in smarter versions of the tricky landlords, they may register you online at a similar address, and you won't really pay attention that building 1 of your main building 13, let's say, is missing on the form, and that's one of the tricks that may exist. Otherwise, they may just suggest kindly or push you to get registered at a wrong address, and this is an administrative violation you may want to avoid. Occasionally with big rental operators there is this hurdle of a reception located somewhere in the city center, and you mistakenly think that this is where you are checking in, but they just let you make you drag your stuff all the way there. You pay all the money there, collect your papers, they make you happy, and you collect the keys to just go elsewhere. And normally you don't even have a way to call a local taxi, so that's a bit inconvenient at some point. So here we might just add about scrolling the map. The pin with apartments in Minsk that you will see in the city center in that very building may not necessarily get you accommodated in that very building. One more trick that the per night rental guys say, they just hook you up. They send you some pictures of the place that is booked and will be booked for your stay, and when you come over there they politely and kind of insistingly say that the place is just extended, oh we're sorry, oh would you like to look at another place, that they will hassle on the last minute. And this is one of the very popular ways of getting it done. At a short-term place, comforts of all kinds like included internet is always there, is often negotiable if somehow it's not there. Recently we had a thing when a guy checked in and there was no internet, so we politely agreed that the landlord would cover that. It's just 10 bucks extra, but this was not loaded on the customer. And with the long-term rents, like some of my relocation clients living here, the utilities come on top of the bill, and that's something that's not written, and that's something that you normally discuss at the negotiations. So in most cases, when you're looking for a long-term deal and you're seeing a price of, let's say, 500 bucks, the utilities will come on top. Say 50 bucks, give or take, depending on the season, will be sitting on top of the monthly fee every month, including the internet. Last but not least, partially we're sitting in the east, so there's a bit of negotiation oriental culture, and the prices can be negotiated, which is one of my roles as you are looking for your long-term deals. That makes my services almost free of charge. Agencies may or may not be involved in finding a short-term rent. Normally it's not the case. With long-term deals, agencies are neither boring nor helpful. Sometimes I see a lot of fake ads by select few agencies. Sometimes the ads just get placed for the sake of attracting a client. I guess it's not just unique to Belarus. Very often the agencies wash their hands off once they hook up the client and the other client, the landlord. So they really don't care if you sign a contract, how you sign the contract, your battle with the utility company that takes 3 days officially then to certify this contract. This is something you may want to keep in mind. And later, if you have some issues about payments, about whatever, the agents don't really give a damn, even if it's $1,000 a month. So this is another case where a real estate concierge may come helpful. And since the agency personnel is quite unreasonably paid, let's say, and will not necessarily speak good English, they won't bother for cultural issues. And whatever issues the landlord may have before you even become a tenant, with your background, with your cultural background, what they assume, the stereotypes, the language spoken, may not be addressed by the agency. So a real estate concierge, take it as a commercial, can be a handy solution to the matter. I would say that generally a person that can communicate is really handy when it comes to a deal with the landlord, and it's not just about lowering the prices. All kinds of things that they may have heard of that may be circulating in the landlords groups as an issue may be discussed as you're checking someone in, and the problem can be resolved on the spot even after they said, no, we don't really want an Australian, we don't speak English, blah, blah, blah. You just say, it's my guy, I'm covering my guy, I'm watching his back, so don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. Again, speaking of contracts, it's a paper that you normally sign with the official landlord officially. It gets certified within 3 working days at the local administration, could be shorter under certain circumstances. So please keep that in mind, because that may take and stretch very much over the weekend if you are signing it on Friday. It's a paper in Russian, it's template. You can throw in a few conditions on your own and it may or may not go through. You may want to make sure it's a good quality copy. The writing there is human, because the migration office will not be treating you humanly if there are some typos, corrections and stuff like that. This may hamper your registration process. So again, watch this closely and make sure there is an assistant who is capable, who is aware of these matters, who is on your side. Thank you for watching the video. Share your apartment experience down below. This was Andrei from Minsk. Hopefully, we'll see each other here at some point, maybe this season. Cheers. See you later.